I think we have found our new Brie Larson, and it comes in the form of director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, the upcoming director for the Daisy Ridley new Jedi Order Star Wars film. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. With that out of the way, we got the story up over at thatparkplace.com. Upcoming Star Wars director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy says, I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable. Those are comments that she made back in 2015 during an appearance at the Women in the World Summit, where she was asked about her activism by host Jon Stewart. Let's listen to what she had to say. This is what she said.
I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
She goes on to make it clear that she is not making Jon Stewart uncomfortable before she then goes on to explain how she approaches her art.
You know, it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection, and then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
So it's very clear, I think, now that this is why Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy was hired by Lucasfilm. She is an outright feminist, and she will be pushing the Force is Female agenda for Lucasfilm. In fact, I don't think our opinions have really changed that much in 8 years since that video was done, because we had this during an appearance on CNN's New Year's Eve coverage. She said, I am very thrilled about the project because I think what we are about to create is something very special. And we are in 2024 now. And I think it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away. Obviously, because the date, they're always going to say, we're in 2024 now. Remember, it was 2020, it's 2023 now. These things need to change. How can you not be doing this? It's ridiculous. Now they're already saying 2024 now because the date has changed. Interestingly enough, they'll never recognize why it's called 2024, right? Year of our Lord. And then obviously pushing this whole idea, this feminist agenda idea. We have to have a woman shape the story. Like there haven't been women shaping Star Wars stories for years now. It's just utterly ridiculous. And we've seen what Star Wars has done with a woman shaping the story, specifically with Kathleen Kennedy shaping the entire direction of Star Wars. It has been an utter disaster after disaster after disaster. They had maybe one thing going, I guess, with The Mandalorian, and they completely crapped on that with the feminist agenda, bringing back in Bo-Katan Kryze and basically replacing Din Djarin as the Mandalorian. Obviously, I think people woke up to that. I think that whole show was crap from the very beginning, but I think a lot of people had some blinders on and were bought in, or seemingly have been won back after the disaster sequel trilogies, and then they've kind of squandered that now as well, because these people can't help themselves. This is what they're going to do. Remember, she says, I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable. That's what these people like doing. This is what they enjoy doing. And this is the kind of person that Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy has hired to create the next Star Wars movie, a franchise that was predominantly watched by men. And obviously, that is something that Kathleen Kennedy knew full well, because she actually addressed that topic at the Most Powerful Women Summit in 2015. She said, I think the interesting path we've had is the conversation that took place around consumer products, because there were a lot of companies that were in place who, frankly, didn't initially feel that Star Wars was for girls. And when you have a company situation where between Lucasfilm and Disney, we were all looking at the situation saying, no, with Star Wars, we have to change this. We have to make sure that we create products that are, in a sense, appealing to both boys and girls. What's wrong with that? And then she went on to detail how she has been doing that, or has been doing that for a number of years now. The fact that the company was bought by the Walt Disney Company has been amazing, because they very much support the fact that we are trying to grow in the workforce a number of women in executive positions and in positions inside the company, and with the movies that we are making and with the protagonists that we are putting in the stories. So I get a huge amount of support with that. So clearly pushing that feminist agenda through the movies that they're making, the protagonists they're putting in the stories, and all trying to push that. And then obviously they're doing it behind the scenes as well. But we have 50% of our executive team are women, and 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies, and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women. And I think it's making a huge difference in the stories that we're trying to tell. So obviously, just calling out Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's absolutely utter disgusting lie on New Year's Eve from 8 years ago. Clearly, Star Wars was being run by women back then, and so she's not really doing anything different. She's not new. She's not the new shiny object she thinks she is, or that Disney has been told her to say. But I mean, this is just disgusting behavior. This is the people that are running the entertainment industry. This is why all this stuff sucks. They have clear activist agendas. They don't like men, at least in the case of Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. That is her agenda that she is pushing. Clearly, she likes making men feel uncomfortable, and she indeed enjoys it. And she wants them to change whatever their behavior is that she doesn't like. Interestingly enough, this clip never actually talks about what that behavior is. One can only imagine what she likes, what she does not like about men. It's probably everything. But this is the person going to be leading Star Wars now, or leading at least the next Star Wars film. This is going to be an utter and complete disaster. It's going to be a giant dumpster fire. And I do think that if Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy continues down this path, she is making herself out to be the next Brie Larson. And we saw what happened with Brie Larson. The Marvels tanked at the box office just this past year, only bringing in $200 million, the worst grossing film in Marvel Cinematic Universe history. I can only think that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's Daisy Ridley Ray film might even do worse than that. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.